Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody? I'm just setting up here. It's been a busy day, so just sort of setting everything up as best I can. But this is going to be a fun one today. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with it. And also, I'm going to caveat this just at the beginning. I'm alone in the house today, and the reason I say that is because a few weeks ago we adopted a kitten, a little cat, and it's all been going fine. But she had an operation a few days ago. She's all good, but I've got her locked out of the room at the moment because she incessantly jumps everywhere and destroys my keyboard. If she starts crying or something, I may have to like press play on the work in progress and just go check she's okay. I think she'll be fine. I'm pretty sure she's sleeping at the moment. But oh, what a wonderful world we live in, full of modern technology, when got a stream from home and kitten there, and got to make sure she's okay. But I think she's going to be fine. I think I'll just let her sleep through. But if I hear her meowing or something, I may have to go off. But other than that, I think we should be in for a good one today. Hello, everybody. You can see there's a few people in chat. Theodore, hey, welcome. Cosmodia, welcome as always. Simon, yeah, welcome. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This is going to be a fun one today. You can probably, well, you almost certainly know what it is, but if you don't know and you're joining us, the wallpaper all around me should give you an idea. We are doing the iconic 2002 Spider-Man theme. We're not going to do the whole thing because that would take far longer than 2 hours. But hey, look, if we have good fun today doing this, maybe we'll carry it on next week or something if people would want that. If not, we'll just do maybe the first minute or so today. But we'll definitely get the sort of intro and the main theme in there, and we'll build it up bit by bit, and we will see how it goes. So yeah, I think this is going to be good fun today. This is a classic film. I remember going to watch this in the cinema. I was, I think, 19 years old when it came out. And yeah, it was like, this was right at the start of the whole superhero renaissance, in the 90s, whatever. Superheroes hadn't really been that big of a thing. And then we had X-Men and then Spider-Man. And then not long after that, the whole Marvel universe got started. And obviously we had Batman as well, Christopher Nolan's Batman. So yeah, this was really one of the big starting points of, modern superheroes. And yeah, Sam Raimi, Danny Elfman, great score, great film, really good fun. I cannot believe it's nearly 24 years old now, 23 and a half years old. Yeah, it's such a good film though, and it's an iconic score. And I remember the goosebumps sitting in the cinema. That was such a great run of films those few years. We had like Matrix, we had Spider-Man, X-Men, we had Lord of the Rings trilogy, all in that kind of 1998, 99 to like 2003, 2004. And this was slap bang in the middle. And yeah, it was definitely one of those, you had to be there moments with cinema to go in and have the whole, opening and lights went down, music starts. So cool. So cool. So I think we're going to do it today. And we're going to do it all with Nucleus, one library. We're just going to use Nucleus today. Sometimes I really enjoy doing this, just seeing what we can get out of Nucleus. I lie very slightly. There is one other library in there just for one small patch, but we will go through that and explain why. And I don't think it's cheating. You'll see what I mean when we get to that point. Everything else is going to be Nucleus, and we're going to find a way to make Nucleus work to do all of this. It might not be perfect. We might have to improvise. We might have to change some things around, but that's cool, right? Sometimes it's really good to just pick a library and learn how to use that library really well. Also, I think Nucleus is a great sounding library for kind of Danny Elfman style stuff. He's known for that kind of slightly drier, more intimate sound. Sounds epic, but the actual orchestra itself is mic'd and mixed and sort of produced with a little more intimacy and closer sound. I think Nucleus is perfect for that. You can always add tons of reverb to Nucleus if you want and make it sound bigger and in a huge space. But I think it's incredible as this kind of, I wouldn't really call it a dry library because it's got a definite ambience, but it's got this nice intimate character to it, even though it sounds huge. And I think it's going to work really well for this. I mean, I haven't tried it. I've done a tiny bit of it, but I haven't tried it. But I think it's going to be cool. Simon, this is crazy. Can't believe I'm catching this live. You certainly are. Yes. Welcome. And Echoscape and everyone else. Yes. Thank you all for joining us. It's going to be good fun today, I think. We'll head over to the door. We're going to go for about 2 hours. It might be a little bit less today if Kitty doesn't decide to play ball, but it'll be at least an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. And we'll see what we can get done. I've already done some of the work, but we've got a lot more to do. So, Nucleus is going to be my Christmas present to myself. Been doing studio session recording. I'll save up for it. That's awesome. Enjoy. Yeah, it's a great library, I think. And now and again, I just like to take a piece and mock it up in like one library. And Nucleus is obviously a good one because it's an all-in-one, has all the orchestral sections, including choir and some percussion and other stuff. So I think Nucleus is a great choice. And I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, let us know what you do with it. If you're not on our Discord, sign up to our Discord. You can always post what you're working on there. And I would love to hear what you guys come up with, with any of the libraries of ours or any other libraries. It doesn't have to be ours, but we just want to hear what you're working on. And if you are working with Audio Imperial stuff, we always love to hear how those things are being used. Hey, Luca, thank you for joining us. So I'm going to switch us over to the DAW. There we go. And you can see I've already started this, but we've got a long way to go. So we're going to try and get to sort of the end of the first part. It goes to this awesome string part that we probably won't have time to do today. But as I say, maybe next week we'll move on and carry this on if we want to, or maybe we'll do it in a YouTube video or something. But I have just done the intro, and then I've done a lot of the kind of prep work here. And as usual, I've found some stuff on the internet. There's a great guy called, I think his name is David Macaulay or David Mackley. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. He does loads of sheet music stuff, which is awesome. It's really good. I use that today. He's worth checking out if you haven't. He does loads of famous cues and does his own kind of versions of them. They're really useful. I also did some of this by ear, just listening back to myself and trying to figure out, how it's all put together. We're not going to get 100% perfect, but we'll get good enough, I think, that we can recognize the theme. James says, Nucleus sounds like a good choice. I think it will be, yes. I want to become a film music composer, have a career with it. I'm a professional pianist. I love music and composing. What would be good starting tips you could give me? Great question. So, yeah, it's the world is very different these days. I would say these days you sort of have to think of yourself kind of a bit more as your own brand and your own kind of business, and be, you can absolutely work in film and TV or trailers. You can choose a specific area. That's a good idea. But I think a lot of people coming into the industry these days are sort of building their own brand and their own portfolio, either as influencers or with a social media following. I think that's such a huge part these days, is to get people interested and excited in your music. And that's also really good as well, because it will kind of make you figure out how to stick out from the crowd. That's a really important thing. There's only ever going to be one John Williams or Danny Elfman or John Powell or, whoever it might be, Howard Shore, Hans Zimmer. So it's more important than ever these days to find your own unique voice and to show that to the world. And I think a lot of opportunities will usually come these days if you're already out there showing people stuff you've rescored or your own work, or you're working on your own creative projects, and someone comes along and they says, I really like this person's stuff. I'm going to get in touch with them on whatever it might be, Instagram or, Facebook, and I'm going to, see if they want to get involved in my project. That's how I hear a lot of composers these days, getting their first sort of scoring opportunities, whether it's in games or film or TV. The world has moved much more in that direction. It used to be more you sent, your demos off to directors and producers and so on. And, that's still an avenue you can take. But I think these days you don't have to wait for permission. You just start making cool stuff, and you almost like you force people, not really force, but, you make them take note of what you're doing. So you have to be as much, not necessarily an influencer, but you have to be out there in the world visible. It's such a big and busy world that if you're not out there making stuff, then and showing it to people, it's going to be hard to sort of cut through. But the good news about that is that actually that's really exciting too, because it means you have to find your own voice. It means you have to champion your own content. It means you have to make it happen, basically. So I see that as an opportunity, not a limitation. But and be yourself. Yeah, Tamoy is exactly true. More than ever now, be yourself. We live in a world where there's so many people making music, which is incredible. There's obviously AI. There's a lot of content and stuff out there. So it's important to find a way to do it in a way that no one else does it. We all would love to be John Williams, but even if you have the talent to sound a bit like a John Williams, the world has a John Williams, and we've moved, forward, and we're looking for fresh voices. It doesn't mean you can't do orchestral stuff, but I think it means you're thinking about how you can do it in your own way with your own unique sensibility. So that would actually be my biggest piece of advice is, make stuff, force yourself. And again, I don't mean force literally, but like, get it out there, have the bravery to show it to people, to start building, an interest in your music and what you can do. And then other talented creators will invariably come knocking and be interested in working with you if you're producing interesting stuff. Be vulnerable, make music and get it out there. I always find it difficult, and it's the part that I've struggled with. It's always the thing that I find difficult is having a YouTube channel or an Instagram and really making the most of it. But I think it's important these days. You give them no choice but to hire you. It's true. You have to be, it's like, you have to make yourself indispensable, right? There are people out there who are showing their work, and it's so interesting, the work, and they're presenting it in such an interesting way. You have no choice but to be like, this person is really talented, they're really good, they're really new and fresh and exciting, and I want to hear more of what they're doing. That's what the feeling you've got to give people. And then one day, because it's the internet's free for everyone, and it's anybody can go on your platforms, you never know. The next big film director or producer may stumble upon your stuff and be like, this is the person that I think could do the job. And that's how it works these days. It's a very different world from 20, 30 years ago. Cosmodium says, as a sample library developer yourself, you don't have cravings to buy libraries or plugins on Black Friday, or is my assumption wrong? I certainly do. I don't so much these days. I have a lot of stuff these days, which I'm very fortunate to have. Obviously, Audio Imperial stuff. I also have bought things and still do buy things. It's a big world, and no sample library developer makes everything that you need. I think we make some really, really exciting products, and I know I'm a bit biased, but I do think we make some great stuff. But this isn't about pretending the rest of the world doesn't exist. So sometimes I do buy things, but these days it's more, I'm more careful about what I buy, because I have a lot of things now, and if I can't make music with the things I have, I'm in trouble. So I do try and limit it, but every now and again a library comes out, or I work on a very specific project and I need something that I don't have, and then I maybe go out and buy it. And similarly, if I've always wanted a library and then in Black Friday maybe it comes out or something, I'll pick it up. And that's kind of how I got to Audio Imperial stuff, because I bought Nucleus, and then I think they did a really great deal not long after that, a Black Friday deal, and I bought that deal. And that's when I made some mockups using Audio Imperial stuff, and I sent it to Audio Imperial, and then a few months later Yang got in touch with me, and the rest is history. So another interesting way of trying to, again, it goes back to like the one time I did share stuff and I was like, here's something I've done with my music. It ended up getting me involved with the Audio Imperial team, and that's been such an awesome journey. So it just goes to show, even someone like me who is not social media savvy, when I finally put my music out there and shared it with people, that was when some of the opportunities in the sample library world came along. So yeah, make stuff, share stuff, and have fun with it as well, because yeah, we need just exciting, fun, fresh new voices and people that love making music. Picked up Artifact Reanimate in the Black Friday sale. As quite an old library, I'm sure it's been rinsed already by trader composers. We'll make a cool video topic of doing fresh things with no library. Yes, there's a lot of mileage in that library, so I use it quite a lot. But I think you're right. When it comes to finding sounds for trailers, you always have to find a new spin on an old sound. It could just be a little bit of processing or finding some way of making it new, but I agree. Cool. Okay, I think we might be having some internet difficulties. Looks like it's working again now. Apologies if it went a bit weird then. I know you're an Audio Imperial, but do you think Nucleus is all you need to start, or do you think it needs something else? You can definitely start with just Nucleus. I promise you that. Obviously in the grand scheme of things, you'll probably want other libraries to do some things that, you can't do as easily with Nucleus. But 100%, if all you can get is Nucleus, you can make great orchestral music with Nucleus. And it can be professional sounding as well. And I know a lot of people that write trailer stuff with Nucleus, do film scores with Nucleus. Definitely. This is that thing where it's like, obviously it helps if you have lots of different libraries that can do things. Actually, sometimes it's a limitation to have too many things, because I sometimes open my template up now. I've actually recently started taking stuff out of my template because it seemed cool to have 1,000 tracks in there, but I started getting bit of kind of like decision paralysis when I was like, oh, do I want this library or that trumpet? Should I layer these two things? In the end, I think simpler is better. And actually, I think having a template of 2 or 3 libraries is sometimes the way to go. Definitely, you could definitely make great sounding stuff and professional sounding stuff with just Nucleus. Looking at picking photosynthesis, it's incredible. It's really good. I haven't even scratched the surface of what's available in that library. I want to ask something about Craft and Score. Does it matter what software notation I use? I saw from the trailer that Tristan uses Sibelius. Does he go deep into the course using the software? The answer is no. It was designed to be more general than that. So if you use a different notation software, certain workflows may be a bit different, and there's certain things you may not be able to do. with other music software. But generally speaking, all the principles, you know, Tristan was never making a technical course about these are the buttons you press and these are the tools that you use. It's always been about the process of how do you take MIDI or someone's track and make it into a finished piece of notation that can be used by orchestras. It can be used for any notation software. Obviously, if you have Sibelius, that helps because some of the plugins and things that Tristan uses are more specific to Sibelius, but they're all just general workflow ideas. And Tristan, I think, was really keen to not make this too much about the software that you use and much more about, you know, how you can be useful and sort of good as an orchestrator and bring things to life. So no, if you have a different software, the course should still be very, very useful to you because all of the incredible things that Tristan talks about are kind of general to the job as an orchestrator, not specifically to the workflow of a particular software. And, you know, in different parts of the world, different orchestrators tend to use different software. And I don't think the software is really that important. As I say, I think it's a little bit easier if you have Sibelius because that's what Tristan uses. But it's the same with when we did a Modern Composer Blueprint. I use Cubase, but we made it a deliberate point not to make it about the DAW. It's all about just the principles that pretty much any DAW can use, and it's the same with crafting the score. It's all about the principles of notation software, not about any one particular notation. I already composed some music. It obviously gets like 25 views, and I don't even know if the piece is good. So 2 questions: how to get professional feedback and how to make people pay attention to your work. So I mean, these are difficult. Professional feedback, well, you can come into our Discord and put your pieces up there. We try and answer as many as we can, listen to as much as we can. There will often be competitions and things that are being run. I definitely recommend you enter competitions and stuff like that. And similarly, sometimes people do Ask Me Anythings or producers offer to listen to you know, different reels and stuff like that. That can always be useful as well. Get on Facebook groups. There's lots of Facebook groups out there that are about scores and scoring. Get on some of them. And that will be really useful too. And then the second question is how to get people to pay attention to your work. That's a slightly more tricky thing. The way that I would recommend doing it is think of yourself these days more, not necessarily as an influencer. You don't have to be an influencer, but as a brand. You're not just releasing music and hoping that people turn up. It's like, how do you get people hooked, right? That's a really difficult thing, but that's what you have to do is like, can you recreate a theme in your style, or can you rescore a film? Can you find a video concept that, you know, will excite people and draw people in? If you just say, here's a piece of action music, it's very hard for people to know if they're going to be, you know, invested in looking at that because there's millions of pieces of music. But if you say, I rescored Star Wars, it's bold, but people will be like, oh, I want to see what this person might have done, you know. Or if you say, I've, you know, rescored a scene, or I've done a trailer for an old film or something, trailer music, whatever it might be. Those are the kinds of things. Think about like the value to other people. What's going to make them want to click? You know, so if I just put like, and I've done it before, like here's my sci-fi music, and people are like, oh, there's millions of sci-fi tracks out there. I don't want to hear that. But if you say I've rescored a film, people will be a lot more interested in that because they'll think to themselves, you know, so yeah, my recommendation is think of interesting hooks. I can see that we're getting intermittent internet here. I'm not really sure why. I'm hoping you guys are still getting my stuff here. Let me see if I can fix this. I might just have to rejig a little bit and see if I can get this to work. Let me know, guys, if I drop out. Okay, I'm going to hope that this works. Let me know if I drop out and I'll see if I can fix it, but it looks to be back and kind of stable for the time being. We just finished filming our next Composer Showdown. Yes, so that's a good example. I think we've had really great success with the Composer Showdowns. And I think that the format of that, the way that it entices people to see what we've done, even if they don't like what we've done, they'll kind of want to see what we've done. And I think that that's the way you've got to think these days is you're a brand. How do you cut through and make people want to see what you're doing? And it is hard. And it's not necessarily a skill that is intuitive to all composers. I don't have that skill, but you know, that's the way you have to try and think, I think is basically working that way. I think there's a big player outage. So sorry guys, if we do have any issues, I don't think it's on my end, but we'll see. But at the moment, we all seem to be working. Not the time for push-ups, dude. I know, but I definitely need to be doing some more push-ups. But I mean, I'm not going to become a fitness influencer anytime soon. I'm going to stick to the composing. Yeah, sorry if you guys had to see whatever it was, my legs or butt or whatever it was sticking out of my computer desk. But I don't think it is this end. So maybe there is something to do with Cloudflare or something. But hopefully we're gonna get through. Okay. If you want to ask any more questions, feel free. I will definitely answer as many as I can, but we will get started and have a little listen. Now, I've done the intro to this already because it's all just strings. We might do a little finesse as we go, and then the rest of it is all piano at the moment, and then we're going to build it up layer by layer, and hopefully we're going to get something that sounds a little bit like the iconic 2002 soundtrack. So here we go. 2002, Danny Elfman, Spider-Man main theme, all-time great, and we're going to try and do a little mock-up of it today. Cool. So that's where we're hopefully going to get to today. We might even get that far. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, this is such a great soundtrack. It sounds a bit weird or piano based at the moment, but hopefully as we build it up layer by layer, it's going to start sounding not as weird. Yeah, so let's just start seeing what we can do with this. Okay, so we got the intro. The intro is all strings, really nice, beautiful strings. I think it sounds great on Nucleus. It's just these high tremolos that we have going on. So these are just actually high sustains, and then we have tremolos in the violas and celli. And then we move to that next part. So let's start getting this on this sort of main ostinato down. It's such a sort of driving propulsion track. And what I'm going to do is maybe sort of open these up and make each one its own articulation so we can see them a bit more clearly. So I'm going to enable this one tremolo because that's what it is, trem, and then we'll make this one these shorts. So there we go, and I'll just change that to our short here. There we go, like this. Make sure we're clicked on there. Okay, so let's just put this in and see what we get to. So pop that in there and see what we have. Nice. What I'm going to do is just give that a little bit of random velocity. There we go. That's going to make it a little bit less. Nice. Okay, and that just carries on. So what I'll do is copy all this over, and then we'll sort of just take out what we need from it. Let me just make sure. I'm having weird issues with my mouse as well. Tell you what, it's all been going technically wrong these last couple of weeks. I don't know what's happening, but we'll figure it out. Okay, so we're not worried about getting perfect orchestration here. By the way, I remember asking several weeks ago about the Hollow Knight OST, if you can listen to it, waiting for a review. I still haven't listened to it, but thank you for reminding. Maybe I'll listen to it tonight because I'm hoping I actually have a little bit of time off. So maybe I'll try and listen to it tonight. I would definitely give you a review. Maybe I'll post my review on Discord as well. Okay, let's just take all these little notes out. It's going to be a little bit of boring just fixing stuff up until we sort of get somewhere with this now. Do a little bit of random velocity there, bring them down. Okay. So we got... Okay, just to make sure we get all the stuff. Okay. Cool. That'll do for now. We'll sort of keep fixing things up as we go, because there's a couple of overlapping notes and things here. That's going to be the way for a while until we clean all this up. But that's cool. And I put a bit of a velocity ramp on here. So as we're going through, we're building an intensity, because that's generally what the piece is doing. It's all growing at the beginning. So we can take all that out. We'll just sort of take the piano out as we go. Let's move this now. We have a little bit of a tremolo on the violas just at the very beginning as well. So let's move that over. We already have our violas tremolo here. So let me just, there we go. Make sure that we're on tremolo. Nice, we'll stay on tremolo there. Glue those together. And nice. And I think we're going to want this generally a little bit more aggressive. Yeah, cool, we're getting there. Okay, we then have this super high. You couldn't hear it on there because it's too high. There it is. So in our violins here. Now, is it too high? I think it is, but that's no problem. What we can do here is extend the range. Great thing about Pyramid is we can come up here and we can extend our range out and see if we can hit this note. We can get quite far before it sounds too weird. There it is. So I think it's actually an E then. What is your preferred way of using Nucleus, multi or single patches? So I tend these days to go more for single patches, so each articulation on a single patch. I used to be more key switches and multis. The reason that I've changed is more just because from a workflow perspective, it's quicker and easier to do individual articulations, particularly if you want to layer articulations up and so on, and then you don't have to worry about key switches. It's much easier to transpose, because sometimes I do trailer things. If someone comes and says, oh, we need to transpose this, or we need to change certain things, it's so much harder if you have to then change all the key switches and remove key switches. And doing one articulation per track, I can just copy paste and I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And no worry about your English. I can totally understand what you're saying. So thanks for the question. It's a great question. For me personally, yeah, these days I tend to work more one articulation per instrument, but you know, I did work in key switches for many years, and when I'm scoring I sometimes still do key switches, but yeah, for the trailer stuff in particular, it's just so much easier to work one articulation per instrument, and then if I need to make changes, whatever, because that's the other thing as well, like if you cut a section out of a trailer and there's all key switches, you might cut those key switches, then you have to go back in and add them all again if they've moved or changed. If I know everything is just purely notes, you know, pitches, then I don't have to worry about anything like that. So yeah, I tend to work the way I'm working now, is I'll start off with maybe one instance, and then as I'm adding articulations, I'll just duplicate that. Yeah. I don't actually think it's that. Cool. Okay, that will do us for now. Okay, so we're getting there. We can take this out. I've gone to great lengths to avoid key switches. Yeah, I know a lot of people love them, a lot of people hate them. I did notice, not to talk about any one particular DAW, but I noticed that Cubase has got a new expression map system, which is going to make it a lot easier to use key switches now, but I don't use expression maps personally. Maybe I will now it's changed because it's a lot easier to use. But yeah, I tend to work this instrument, one instrument per articulation. And most of the professionals I know, I think, work this way. Obviously, if you don't have, if you've got limited system resources, key switches is fine as well. But yeah, I'm working more this way as I move through life. And I think it is easier. Cool. So what we want to do is just ramp them down a bit. So I may do that with There we go. So we just want these to sort of taper off. We don't want them to just sort of, you know, die suddenly. This might help with the realism. Yeah, it sounds a little bit more realistic there. Okay, so now we continue. What I know we want to do is grab these. In fact, yeah, let's do it this way. I'm going to just grab all these low notes and take them out, and then we can start distributing them. They're also going to get them out of the way for us because they'll be a bit annoying otherwise. I'll grab these ones as well. These ones always start a little bit, you know, not boring, but like we have to do all this housekeeping to get things going, and then we can have more fun with it. But let's open up this bass. Oh, I didn't mean to duplicate that, but that doesn't matter. Let's enable it. Bit of a Final Fantasy VII nerd in that first string note. Broke back memories. Oh yeah, I would definitely do those notes instantly, and then what is it? That was it. I love Final Fantasy VII. We should maybe do a stream on that one day. It's maybe a little bit more niche, but then maybe it's not niche. I say it's niche, but I mean, everyone I know loves Final Fantasy VII. Okay. Let's... Nice. So that just gives us this propulsion in these low strings. So you know what? We're just going to open up. We're going to be duplicating certain things today. You know, I'm not sure how this was recorded, but I'm pretty sure there's long and short strings going on fairly frequently all over the place. My audio is not working correctly. Is that true for you guys? It should be working. But let me know if it's not. Sounds great. Okay. And that last one there is quieter. Oh. Cool. Glad it's working for you guys. Hopefully it was just a little glitch somewhere. Let me know if anything isn't working. And then of course we get this going. Okay, so let's just copy all this over and then we'll start deleting bits that we don't need. I should really put these on separate tracks, but never mind, never mind. Not here, breaking up bad. That's strange. Maybe it's this Cloudflare thing that's going on. We seem to be having a few technical issues today, but yeah, everything looks fine my end. So I can't see whether it would be something here. I don't seem to be clipping. I'm getting audio. If other people are getting it too, I think it could be some issue with the internet. Let's just make sure we're on the right. This is just so Danny Elfman, these kind of layers, these ostinatos that layer up into these big chords. Michael says, have to jet up for work. Watch the recap. Thank you very much for joining us, Michael. Have a good day at work. And yeah, really appreciate you joining us. This will be here for you to watch when you get back. Now I'm going to show you a little trick here that I like to do sometimes. I want a good balance of like some of the softer sounds of the spiccatos and then some more intense stuff. With these violas, I think that we can get a bit more of a spiky sound. We can do this using, we should be able to do this using the envelope. So if we put the envelope on, we can shape the sound here. Let me show you what I mean. I boost the decay and take the sustain. See how we can make this spikier. And then we can just turn it up in the mix then. So we're sort of shaping the sound to give this a bit more attack. So if I just get my gain here, and I can maybe boost this. And then we can really just sort of take this release down. Yeah, that's a bit too much. That's nicer. Before. So you can really shape the sounds in Nucleus using stuff like this. And if I want a bit more of a short kind of attack here. So if I just take this out a second. And let's just make sure, one thing I do have to check here is, yeah, I know that on this new template I've set up, I haven't put all my track delays properly. So there may be a little bit of setting these track delays. Danny Elfman's one of my favorite composers. Wonder which composer your favorite and why is it John Williams? John Williams is one of my favorites. I mean, I do have a lot of other composers I love. I love Jerry Goldsmith. I love Hans. I think Hans is great. There's other really great composers too. Thomas Newman is just incredible. I think he's brilliant. I've always loved Howard Shore. I've always loved Don Davis. I thought he hasn't done much recently. Elliot Goldenthal, I think, is an incredible composer. James Horner's a classic. Now we're getting somewhere. We're just going to get... I love it when it all starts coming together, you know. And this is what we do here. So now we do this. We get spiccatos on here too. Open this up. Change these to spiccatos. There it is. We've got our second violins on here, which is nice. So, and we're going to bring these in this layer here. Yeah, nice. Probably going to do the same thing here and make these a bit spikier, you know, so they sort of really cut through. So it's the same thing with the envelope, a little bit less release, pretty much no sustain, decay maybe somewhere here, and then we'll change the gain as we need to. That's much more Danny Elfman. Okay. Okay, then we just extend these out. And then make sure we've got these copied. Put them there. Alexandre Desplat, yeah, beautiful, beautiful composer as well. Absolutely incredible. I think Ludwig Göransson's great. Really exciting modern composer. I love Johnny Greenwood as a composer, and obviously in Radiohead too. There's so many. I mean, there's just so many great composers out there. I think Nicholas Britell's really, really talented, doing some really interesting stuff. Okay. Maybe we'll just make these celli a little bit spikier too. We don't want quite as much with them because they're a bit more exposed. So we've got to have them sounding realistic, but doesn't mean we can't shape them. Nice. Before. Much more like the way they play. We can always pad them out with a little bit of reverb if we need to make them sit in the mix. Bear McCreary is a fantastic composer. I love Stephen Barton. Gordy Harb's a great composer. They do a lot of TV and game stuff, which has been incredible. Nice. Okay, we are getting somewhere with this now. Just need to bring them up at the end. Centerpiece to Discord. I will definitely check it out. Yeah, I've been super busy the last few days, sorry, so I haven't been checking out Discord as much as I would like, but I am on there and I'm definitely seeing you guys posting stuff. Let's just make sure we're getting some with this. Let me just make sure, yeah, I think we got to make sure that all of these are where they should be when it comes to these track delays. If you spot me not moving a track delay, tell me, and I'm going to have to reset this template up with all the track delays. That's better. Nice. And then we're just going to bring in those, actually we don't want them there. We're going to bring the violins one just at the very end there, just to sort of really reinforce everything. There we go. Make them spiccato. Oh, can't have that space there. That'll just freak me out. There we go. Just use that. Cool. And then we'll just bring them in at the end, and we're sort of done with that part there. And then we'll sort of just do this. Nice. Yeah, that's cool. And again, we're going to just want to shape those a little bit because they're a bit too... there we go. Okay. Cool. Okay, that's sounding pretty good. Now, let's see where we're going to go with this. The first thing I think we should do is put this melody in. That's going to start giving us a sense. It's actually a really interesting piece of music because there's not really a strong melody to this. You know, it's an iconic theme, but it's not really a hummable one. It's just got this great, you know, vibe to it. So let's pop this down here. This is the bulk of the theme. Let's make sure we're on sustain here, not legato. This is the theme, basically, the melody. Then we'll fix all this up as we go. So we're going to want to sort of do a little bit of volume, well, dynamic automation here, I think. So it doesn't sound too... Nice, yeah, that's a little bit more. We want to ride this a bit. It's got a very kind of almost mischievous sound to it in a way, dark and mischievous. And maybe we'll reinforce the main melody with legato as well. That sometimes works nicely too. But we'll see how we're going. Okay, let me just mute these now. We can just pick them up so we need them. And actually, one more thing while we're here I really want to do already, because I'm just getting excited about how this is going to start turning out. And you can see I've already done some of the percussion, which we'll talk about in a minute. But we're going to get our Nucleus choir, which will be down here somewhere. There we go, get sopranos. We're going to make these quite wet sounding. Danny Elfman's stuff is quite dry sounding, but he's really mixes in ways that certain things have a lot more kind of depth to them. So I think we're really going to want a kind of church, and we're also going to want our tail verb on there, I think. Maybe not too much, but yeah, nice. So we do this. I'm going to play this in. Actually, no, I won't play it in. I'll just copy it on. Why? There we go. So we have this enter just as things start building up. So it does this. Let's do this, and then a swell up, and then we'll massage that as we go. Oh, track delay. Nucleus choirs are perfect for Danny Elfman because, again, he uses these smaller sections, more intimate sound. His choirs are not usually, I'm sure they are sometimes, but not usually, 100 people. They're usually like 30 people, 20 people, 40 people maybe, but... Nice. And then we're going to do the same with the tenor. Comes in an octave lower just at those last couple of bars. Sounds great. So nice. This is all just building, right? Everything just builds, grows and grows and grows. Starts with just very simple violin, cello, whole string orchestra. We start to get some percussion. We start to get some choir. Don't get any brass at this point, but we get pretty big for the end there. So here we go. Oh, it might help if number one, I activate it, and number two, track delay. Track delay is going to be the theme of today. So... Oh, and let me just, while we're here, let me just make sure that we have a little bit of tail on here as well. What do we have for this? -5. We'll do the same here. Really deep reverb, lots of stuff going on. Nice. We can finesse that reverb as we go if we need to. Might be a bit spacious, but for now, that'll do. Okay. We're getting somewhere. It really starts to lift off. Now, I said I was only going to use one library today. I've lied slightly. I'm going to use two. Using Nucleus. I am going to use something from Glade. Glade is our new free library. If you haven't got it yet, go download it. There's loads of information on our YouTube channel about it. Totally free to use. Go and get it. It was actually really interesting. I started putting this together using only one orchestra, and I was like, there's just one sound I can't quite get. How am I going to do it without, you know, compromising and using a different library? And then I was like, I think I can use a different library if it's free, and you guys can go get it today for free. So that's what we're going to do. And you'll know there's a little percussion part at the beginning that sounds a bit like this. I just made this using Glade. We got a beautiful tabla inside of Glade, and I'm just using some of the hits from the tabla. And it sounds pretty much like the original. Maybe not completely, but it's enough to kind of get the gist. Second question, what is track delay, like delay compensation? Okay, I'll do a really quick sort of, I think we've got other videos that go into this in more detail. It's a bit of a complex topic, but I'll explain it to you in a way that I can think of. So let's think, for example, you really want track delay in things like legato. If you ever think of a legato, let's say you have one note on bar 1 and one note on bar 2. Okay, if you think of a legato, you might play on bar 1 and then you'll slide up to bar 2 and the next note, and you'll want the slide to happen just before you hit the next note on bar 2. There's no way to do that with computers because the slide will only be triggered when the next MIDI note is triggered, and if it's triggered on bar 2, it's already too late. Then it'll sound a bit out of time. It'll slide on bar 2 and it'll get like, you know, a few hundred milliseconds or 100 milliseconds or so too late, and you'll have to drag everything back. That's really annoying. Everything goes off grid. The way to deal with that is negative track delay. So you put a negative track delay to say, wait a few hundred milliseconds or 100 milliseconds, then start playing, and everything will be triggered a little bit earlier. But that means that by the time the slide has happened, everything will line up. Does that make sense? It's a little bit tricky to get your head around. But with Audio Imperia, and this was happening long before, I feel I can say this because I wasn't part of this, really genius thing that they did. They have a sample start that you can change. So every single instrument is linked to the sample start. The default is 125 milliseconds, but you could do more or less depending on your thing. And that means that it used to be the case with some sample libraries, everything was sort of timed slightly differently. So the shorts would have 60 millisecond delay, the legatos have 125 millisecond delay. It was a nightmare. And then you couldn't use key switching, or if you did, you had to get everything off grid. Everything is conformed inside of Audio Imperia libraries, so all things line up, and you can set your track delay, and then you can put that track delay into each track. So you can see here I have 125 millisecond track delay, there it is, and then in my track I put minus 125 seconds. Now everything lines up. The legato will be triggered at just the right time, that by the time I want the next note to sound and the slide to finish into the next note, that's where it'll be. It's such a great way of working. So there's no longer, you used to have it where like you could never get anything to line up. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. There's better videos out there that other people have done, including I think us, on how this works in a bit more detail, but that's an overview. It's basically a way of making sure everything lines up so you don't get this issue that you often have of legato sounding out of time or shorts being a different time to legato, so you can never get anything to line up on the grid this way. And I mean, when I do Audio Imperia stuff, I rarely do any humanization. You can see everything is perfectly on the grid here, which is probably not the best way to work because humanization works, but it's just so, precise that it actually kind of really works in this stuff. So yeah, I hope that helps. It's a bit of a complex topic, but once you get your head around it, you can see why it's so useful. 2 hops patch on Glade literally makes my jaw drop. It's better than any hops I paid for. Well, we're good to hear that. And yeah, really glad to hear that. I think I agree. Those on the marimba and Crotales and Glockenspiel patch, I think, are incredible. They went straight in my template, professional template, and everything else I do, I use them a lot. They're great. I also use them on the most recent Composer Showdown, which you'll see. Only a little bit, but they're in there. Okay, let's have a listen to this Glade. By the way, this is from our free library Glade, this little patch. So yeah, that's kind of what happens. Let's mix this in, see how it's going. We're starting to get somewhere. Let's also, now the hi-hats is a hi-hat in this, and this is from Glade, so I've just put the one from Glade in here. Pretty much straight out of the box. I put a bit of compression on there just to make it a little bit more pop out, I guess. But let's mix that in, and then we've kind of got our main percussion stuff going. Yes, we're getting somewhere. Cool. And now I see what you meant when you said on the brass. I hadn't put it on the brass. Thank you, whoever it was that mentioned that. Nice. Okay. Let's put in, I tell you what's really integral to this is the bass. Let's put the bass in because that's going to bring so much of this to life. So I'm just going to pop it there for now, but it's not, oh, do we have stuff on the bass? 1 second. Celli. Is that celli? Oh yeah, we do have stuff on the bass. It's there. And I want to, yeah, there we go. Sorry, I was confusing myself then. So open this up, change this to the sustains from Nucleus. And then I should be able to open this. Okay, so what we want to do is this. Take off all these higher notes, which are on the celli. And then all of this stuff is not part of it either. Okay, nice quick fix there. So okay, and do we need to do, yes we do, track delay. That's why that was sounding a bit weird. Cool, so we're going to do just a little bit of automation here. I'm just sort of eyeballing this, knowing kind of how I want it to go. Roughly we'll finesse those as we go. Nice, we're getting somewhere with it. We're getting somewhere with it. What we're going to do is pop that there for a moment. I'm going to open this up. Oh, I see. We have 2 cello spiccatos. I was wondering what was going on there, but yeah, we do have 2 cello spiccatos in that 102 because there's actually 2 sort of layers going on there. And then with this one, we're going to make this, oh, actually we'll make it legato and that'll help smooth things over a bit. So we can make this nice and legato here. Click on that, check our track delay because that's going to be super important. And then I'm going to move this up to our legato and then we're going to take the upper line that we just did. Here it is. We don't want any of this. Yeah, take all this away. And then that and that. Okay, and then we're going to copy or do a little connection on everything here. Do a little bit of automation. I'm just going to sort of eyeball this in, then we'll fix it as we go. Should really play it, but this will do for now. Okay, so these 2 together should sound pretty good now. Danny Elfman does quite a lot of close low writing, which is relatively unusual. People, you know, the general rule of thumb is wider. And then, yeah, as you get higher up, you can go closer, but... Yeah, nice. And you know what? I don't know why. I'm just really excited to get this choir in. So I'm just going to do it, right? I know I'm sort of going a bit backwards here, but I love the choir, the way the choir comes in here. So it's going to be like... I think there's a male choir as well, but we'll sort of fix that as we go. Yeah, we'll just get the high choir for now. That's fine. No, in fact, let's just put it on the male choir as well. And then we might even get the basses in there as well. We'll just sort of fix up what notes are in each then. Yes, listen to that. Instant Danny Elfman. Okay. Beautiful. Okay, and we'll sort of mix things as we go because that's a little bit weird, but as we put everything in, we'll be able to figure out what we're trying to do here. But the vibe is there. That's the most important thing. definitely Cosmodium. We're going to fix all that as we go. We're just sort of laying in stuff now, but I agree. We definitely need to bring those horns. There'll be woodwinds there too. Luke, it's a great question. I don't actually know the answer, but I'm going to give a guess as to why he can do this. It's because he uses that close miking. Much more close miking. If you ever listen to his stuff, very intimate, very close. I know he's not a fan of the big sound stages and the big mixes, much prefers the closer stuff, and that means there's less reverb and room ambience and resonance and build up, which means you can mic closer together, which is probably why he prefers the close rooms, because they bring the best out of his music, all these beautiful kind of close chords and big ostinato, chordal ostinatos and stuff, things that if John Williams did it in Abbey Road would sound very muddy and bloomy. He does them, sounds great. So yeah, but you're absolutely right. Let's just bring these up for now, but as we go through, we'll finesse. I think I'm going to double these horns with a legato patch as well. Nice. Okay, let's just bring these choirs in a tiny bit. Less is sort of more with these choirs, I think. They're going to definitely be there, but... Okay, nice. Let's start getting these string motors in now. I've actually not... there's a lot of chordal stuff going on here that we might have to manually put in as we go, but for now... I think we just want... take those last 4 notes there. Don't think we have them on this cello for some reason. Okay, so they're going to be there. Should be on 16th. Nice. Now we're starting to get that movement in there. Very, very common Danny Elfman thing is that movement. It's pretty quiet, but that's fine because this is the lowest element. It's great, great movement. Nice, okay. And we'll really, when we get to this end part, all the brass will really pop out. We're still very light on brass at the moment, which is why it sounds a bit weird. Now let's put it in this upper line, and then we'll sort of have to fill in the middle lines, which may take a bit of time, but we'll make it work. Doesn't have to be perfect because these are very quiet layers. Pretty simple stuff in terms it's all just chords, basically chords broken up and then moving up and down the different sort of voicings of those chords. Sounds so cool though. You just can't go wrong with it. Nice. Sounding good. Okay, let's get some low brass in now. Let's get these trombones. They start off, let's make sure we use the Nucleus ones, not the Jaeger ones. Not that it really matters, but we want to keep it as Nucleus as much as possible. To show what you can do. This has all been Nucleus apart from one free library, so sounding pretty good. Let's see. Okay, so we have this going on in the trombones, low trombones at the beginning. Glade is such a nice addition. I hope we get more World Instruments or a Glade Pro. Well, we will definitely have to see what the future brings. But for now, the plant Glade is a standalone thing. So there isn't a secret big Glade coming or anything. It was just one project we wanted to do. But we always want to hear what you guys want to see more of. So if you're enjoying the kind of the World Instrument feel, maybe we will at some point return to that kind of world. Okay, this sounds weird, but I promise you it's going to kind of work. And I think the reason it sounds weird is because I don't think I'm on the shorts here. That was why I knew there was something going on there. So let's just do that. What matters? The one library. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's a free library. Blade's free. Go get it now. You know, if I was using another paid library, I'd be like, that's a bit of a mistake. But Blade's free. Use it anytime you want. Okay. This all sounds a bit weird, but we'll make it work as we go. And we definitely want a little rise there. And then I think we have a combination of long and short trombones. I don't know if that actually happens in the final piece, but that's what we're going to do today. Okay, they're just going to help provide a bit of extra rhythm. There we go. Already here, I don't want to do too much mixing today, but I just want these choirs to be a little bit brighter. So a little bit less of this, a little bit more of this. So before and after. Don't want to lose too much because we want to keep the naturalness of it, but that's going to help them cut through a bit more. And of course we have the alto and the tenors that we haven't even used yet, so let's bring them in. It's going to make the choir get bigger as we go through, which is what we want. I'll just copy this information over. But only those last two chords. And we're going to sort of really rise them up. So we get nice big, there we go. This isn't that choir. Nice. And I'll do a bit of group processing on these as well. We're not really gonna mix today, but you know, where I'm hearing obvious things that we could maybe figure out, then I might just do it. Okay, let's get the basses in, and then we're good to move on. Hope the cat's doing all right. Very quiet, but I'm hoping that just means the cat's asleep. You guys don't need to worry about my cat, but I do. Okay, that should be sounding nice now. And again, same thing, we just bring these in for the last two. Nice, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a tiny bit of mixing. We're going to compress that choir. Because choirs often need compression. The way they sort of pop and ride, and there's so much wavering, sometimes you want to squash them down a bit in a busy mix. So... and then just do a big group process as this. That'll do. It's not perfect, but that'll just sort of clear out the space. I'm sure the cat's fine. Maybe when we get closer to a playthrough of this, I'll just run downstairs and make sure while you're listening back to this. Kind of don't want to leave you guys, but yeah, I also don't want to find cat. It's got a little cone on, feels a bit sorry for itself. Nice, and we can just bring that whole choir. Let's just do it up here. Maybe just by like 2.5, 3 dB. Let's do 3 dB. We don't want it to come out too much. You know, it's definitely a background element. Okay, let's listen to what we got so far. And do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to unmute these other percussion elements. So I'll show you what I've done once we've had a listen to everything. But it's basically just Nucleus Grand Cassa, Nucleus Toms High, creating this little, just these hits. We got a bigger hi-hat, just creating these. And then the other thing I've done is the harp really low, which is just creating this big percussive pluck. Sounds a bit weird, but in what's the word? Context of everything else. Let's see how all this works, because that should add a little bit more sort of percussion on the downbeats. Oh, why have we lost? Don't know why we've lost. There we go. I know what we've done here. What we have done is managed to change this. This should be sustained. Let me just do that. And then let me do a duplication of this track. And then we'll make these violins to spiccato. Should be back where we need to be. And then just move those down there. Make sure we're on the right thing. I cone sampled the cat and made a good drone. Yeah, maybe that's what I should do. Okay, so let's have a little listen to this. Nice, we are getting somewhere. Sounds pretty good, I think. Yeah, all Nucleus apart from Glade. A little tiny bit of Glade, but... and then we'll do maybe a little bit of mastering just to sort of push it all together and make it sound a bit bigger at the end. I say mastering, we'll just do a little bit of processing. But okay, one thing I do want to do is on this second part here, is it here? Yeah, I think we want to bring this down a bit. We sort of don't want those drums to kind of be as... there, you know, this part's more about the melody, and then it helps us back them down when they sort of disappear. And this, I think we need to make these a little bit larger than life. So I'm going to be lazy, use a bit of OTT, very gentle, just to make them a bit bigger. Nice, that'll do. Just gives us a little bit of hype very easily. And then I'm going to use a bit of extra reverb just to sort of push them in the mix a bit more. I think that would just make them sound a little bit sort of more impactful. Violin should crescendo at the end, not a backseat. So do you mean at this part here or at the very, very end? I definitely agree with you. And one way we're going to do that as well is by adding these second violins too. But maybe we'll need to push the volume of them slightly as well. Let's just do that because I think you're right. We definitely want them to stick out a bit. Not too much, but just a bit more. Let's just make sure we're absolutely maxing out those velocities at the end. We also got flutes to add as well. They'll give a bit of impact too. So, okay, let's now start thinking about, okay, let's do clarinets. Clarinet's going to add a lot to these horns. So there's a lot of woodwind in this. Bit of old school scoring with the woodwind. I can't speak today. They really help to like soften and make these horns more just in the middle. It's a really big part of the sound. I still think we need a little bit more from those horns. Or actually, no, I tell you what I'm going to do. I think what I'm going to do is bring the... duplicate those horns. They're our sus horns. Duplicate them out. And I'm going to do a legato just on the main line. I'm also going to do that on the clarinet as well, solo clarinet. It's going to help a lot, I think. It's a very sort of mid-range focused melody, so we just want... See, we just want the bottom line here. just for this first section, I think. And we're going to just very slightly boost some EQ. Just a tiny bit. So that should help a little bit. Nice. And what we need here is more bass, more power, which we'll do in a couple of ways. Well, first of all, we're going to do it pushing this a little bit. I think it's a bit quiet. Secondly, we're going to get our tubas, Nucleus. I think there's tubas in this. It would definitely be how I would double them, you know, to give them a bit more power. So that's what we're going to do. So put them there. That should just give us instant, very Danny Elfman sound. So that should help. And we'll get rid of all that at that point. It's just those first few notes we want. And solo clarinet, make sure we use one from Nucleus so we're not cheating. Track delay tuba. Thank you. We'll double check those track delays. What would I do without you guys, eh? Let's make sure we got everything. We don't have them on here either. This is going to sound even better when we have the right track delay. And then we're just going to literally do the same thing here. Really great combination. See how it thickens up? Why orchestration is so important? Because, you know, that's just good orchestration, not by me, by Danny Elfman and his orchestration team. You know, knowing how to thicken things up, how to get the right sounds. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream, guys. Now, at that point, we start introducing more brass. That's why it's sounding a bit weird at the moment. There's a few things that go on here. The first thing we're going to do is get our big trombone chords in at this point because you need them. It's not going to work without these big trombone chords, which I should have in our brass lungs. So it's going to be those, and we'll just worry about the last chord. We'll just get these in for now. So make sure. Obviously, these need to be sustains. Then we'll just introduce the rest of those. And we're going to want to sort of bring these, we don't want to use all our, we want to really make sure we get to the end dynamic at the end. In fact, we can probably go even more. Yeah, nice. We need to swell more into that. By the time we get there, we want it to be big. Okay. Cool. We are getting somewhere. Now, there's a melody here. There's a whole melody that we haven't put in yet. And once it comes in on the trumpets, it's going to bring the section to life. So get our trumpets in. Nucleus, 3 trumpets. Love the trumpets in Nucleus. I mean, they're just instant Hollywood to me. Let's get them in. See what they sound like. Cool. Okay. Now we have a melody here. And it does this. So let me just have a quick look. It's actually going to be in our brass lungs here, I think. Make sure we get the right melody. Okay. Let me just make sure I get this right now. So we need... Let's put this in the high strings first, right? This is what happens in the high strings, because this is going to really help Let's just make sure we've got these round legatos. No need to have that there. Add a tubular bell. Yeah, we're definitely going to add a tubular bell. As a way to create sub basses, there isn't. Maybe we'll use, it's not cheating because it's a free instrument again. Maybe we'll use a sub bass and I'll just show you very quickly how I set one up. You don't, you know, it's always great if you have a sub bass in a library, but you literally need any synth from any DAW will make a sub bass. You don't need anything that's going to be special. It's just going to be. So we have this beautiful line. Let's make sure we got all this legato. Okay. Okay. Okay, that's going to help a lot. See how that just lifts everything, right? And we do the same thing with the trumpets. There it goes. And then we have chords at that point. So we'll keep all that legato. We'll move to chords then. I'm just going to make sure that's legato. And then we get these beautiful big trumpet chords that just fill out the brass section. Hello, Cinyscape. Thanks for joining us. Let's put that sub bass in as well now, because I think that's fair game, right? I mean, it's sub bass. You know, you can get ones in libraries and they can sound really good, but it's very easy to make one. And I'm just going to use a super clean sub bass. I should have it in here. Here we go. Made mine in Vital, which is a free synth, so I think this still counts. We're using 3 libraries now, but it's just that, basically, really simple. Then we just mix it into taste. It'll add a lot, you know, but it's going to be sort of less is more. Track delay. Can't forget our track delay. So we have... And we don't want to use all our trumpet dynamics too soon. Thank you very much for the... Yeah. Yeah. Up to there. And then we have beautiful chords in the trumpets, which we'll put in. Then we have these chords here in the trumpets. Da, 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 da. Really nice D minor with like a passing, you know, so you got a D minor. Really nice. The 5th moves up to a 6th, and then we go chromatic median. Well, it's not quite a chromatic median, but it's a very nice key change. And we're going to make each one of these separate. You know, we want a tiny little bit of break between each one, so we get like a separation in these chords. Something like that. Nice, that's the one. Cool. Okay, let's have a little listen to where we're at. We sort of want to, that note gets not lost, but kind of comes out. And then we need, in our second violin, legatos, which we'll add in. Yeah, sub booms are really important, sub booms and sub basses. They're always there this subtle, right? I mean, if I take this in and out, I'll just push it very slightly higher than I normally would. So we go. If you're listening on headphones, you maybe won't be able to hear it, but it's like, it flattens the foundations. All modern production is like a nice, big, even kind of, you know, low end. Sounds a bit weird, but you know what I mean? A big, even low end, right? And it's like, it's a big platform that everything else sits on. Older music wasn't like that, right? The basses moved a lot more and it was a lot just more mid-focused and you didn't have big subs and stuff. These days, everything has a very even sub bass and then everything is sort of built on that, you know, so there's nearly always something going on in the sub bass. And if it drops out, it's for a very specific purpose in terms of the arrangement. With something like this, I definitely put a sub bass in and just mix it down sort of low, but just so it creates, because the thing is, right, the basses, number one, they don't have any sub in them, like, double basses, or not much. But number two, because they're vibrating strings, the bass kind of wobbles like this. If I just show you guys, can I show you guys? I probably could. Let's just show you. I'll make a quick EQ. Look how kind of, it does move a bit, but look how even the bass is here. See it? It's all up here, all at that level, right? So it's a very even bass. Here, I show you guys the basses, the actual basses. It's going to be a little bit more wobbly. I mean, there's more information for a start, but you can see the lowest note, it's moving all the time, right? So you don't get any evenness. There's always drops and dips and pokes. That's all the resonances and vibrations and stuff. So that's why we use a sub bass, just to even it out. See how it just evens it out. Nice. So what we want to do here is a little dip here. We want a bit of a swell into that next section. Cool. I want the solo oboe. This is where we go back to Nucleus' solo oboe. Sounds incredible. It's one of my favorite solo oboes. Definitely in every template that I have, Audio Imperial and otherwise. Great for emotional stuff. It's going to be great for this more bread and butter stuff as well. So you're going to sweeten up that violin line. Again, this is just orchestration, right? Violin on its own sounds nice. See how it just adds something, but we can't get as high with the violin, but that's fine. What we do very often is just bring it down the octave. This is quite common. When something can't go up any higher, just bring it down the octave. Everything kind of blends together. And I'm just going to do... There we go. There we go. Cool. And you know what I'm going to do here as well? I'm going to bring in our Nucleus low brass. Right, just we really extend the orchestrator for these final notes here. We use this sort of fairly subtly, but it's going to sound just bigger in the low end than just those last three chords, I think. Nice. So let's just see what we can get out here. Again, we'll go more gentle with the dynamics here because we really don't want to sort of overpower. Maybe a little bit more on that though, but even that out a bit. Maybe I'll do those in octaves, we'll see. Nice, that is beefy. I'm going to take some of the mids out just because it's a bit... There we go, something like that. And just mix this in kind of low. We don't, this is not like a big trailer piece, but it's... Actually sounds great there, I think. Okay, let's have a listen to that sort of section there. Nice. Do I have any advice on the contact memory buffer? I actually don't really. It's not something I've messed with too much. Maybe I'll look into it, because I've been, funny enough, been thinking about tinkering around with it on this computer, just trying to optimize everything. So maybe I'll have a look at it and get, you know, back to you about that, because it's something that we should definitely look into more, I think. Okay, so we're going to get the Woodwind ensemble. Now we're going to put all of the bass on the woodwinds as well. That reedy, woody texture of the bassoons, the low bassoons and things, is going to add so much to the bass in this. Okay. Make sure that we're on sustains here. Okay, make sure that we can... No, in fact, you know what? I'm going to simulate. Use the range to get down to those low notes. It'll still sound really good. Really get down low. There we go. So we should be able to get... Nice. It's like a contrabassoon. Adds so much character, and very Danny Elfman low woodwinds. Mix this in. Which is not too loud. Okay. Nice. And we're just going to do a cymbal swell at the end there. Definitely need a cymbal swell there to take it into that next section. Nice. We were missing that kind of oomph, you know. There we go. So now we need some flutes. I'll get the Nucleus 2 flutes. Get these on the shorts and basically just mirror the violin at the end, the short violin, just in this final sort of section. So I'll copy it all in. And then... but we obviously want shorts here. So what we'd want to do is here, and maybe do an octave up here. Yeah, maybe just that last. There we go down. Again, you can do this. We'll see how it goes in the context of the mix, though, and the arrangement. Okay. Am I using convolution reverb? Yes, in this instance I am. I'm using a bit of something called Berlin Studio, which is really nice convolution reverb. Actually, no, it is a convolution reverb. I use that and algorithmic. I use Seventh Heaven. I've also used, on my previous template, Valhalla Room, which sounds incredible. It's a very, very cheap option. It's not convolution, but it can do really great room reflections. But to be honest, you know, this would sound great without those as well. I'm just showing you. If I take the reverbs off, it's going to sound smaller, but it's still going to sound really nice and even. It's not making a huge amount. It's just when we sort of stop, we get a bit more of the room and stuff. And actually, it's probably a bit too much reverb here. For Danny Elfman, we probably want to bring these down a bit. Let's just do it. Let's just take them down a tiny bit. You know, maybe like -3. There we go, and same with this one here. I think we're actually using Black Hole, but just to get a bit more of the room. Oh yeah, definitely let the flautist breathe. I mean, if this was a real orchestra, you'd have like dovetailing, as they call it. We cover this in Crafting the Score. Tristan does a great job explaining, but essentially 2 players dovetailing. So it's one part, but their one's taking over and the other one's stopping and so on. You wouldn't get a flautist playing this. Not very easily, but we don't have to worry about that. We're in sample library world, but it's a good spot. This isn't the most realistic. Track delay. Let's see. Do need some track delay stuff going on here. we wouldn't need track delay on the reverbs because they're just taking sends from audio, so then we're not going to worry about those. But we have missed some track delay on our other instruments. I really got to sort this template out. That's going to make everything sound much better. So, okay, we have one there as well. Where was it? That one? Okay, that should make everything sound even. So those flutes, I want them to be a little bit more kind of aggressive and in the background. So do the same thing again. That's better. Just helps them cut a little bit more, and they'll be quiet in the mix, right? We don't need to worry about having them loud. That's fine. They're just sort of helping to reinforce. Okay. Nice. Okay, let's do this little section at the end. How long have we got left? Maybe about 20 minutes or so. So let's just do this little section at the end, and we want to bring that down a bit. We don't want to sort of be right up there. Maybe more like that. Maybe a little bit more than that, actually. Just grab that. Boop, boop, boop. And same thing here. We don't want maybe the solo stuff here. We just have the two clarinets. Here we go. Okay, cool. And let's just fix these up. These are fast sort of double. So it sounds like that, but it's actually more like this. And I'm going to show you a little trick, which I think will sound good. So first of all, just make that nice. And now we're going to combine this with the tremolo patch. This is layering. This is another reason why having every articulation on a separate instrument works well, because now I can layer very easily. I think this will sound really good. In the right. Let me just make sure. Yeah, nice. What we'll do is just, for these ones, take all this out and just have long notes. But a combination of these two is going to work really nicely, I think. Yeah, nice. I mean, on its own, it sounds a bit weird, but look, when we add these two together, it's going to create this interesting rhythm. Right? On its own, sounds a little bit flat. On its own, sounds a little bit flat. Together, really nice. Very Danny Elfman. And then we're going to want the same thing here. And that's our big, you know. Okay, cool. So. And what we'd want to do is just carry on these. And what I'm going to do in a minute is probably play this back and very quickly run off and just check the cat is okay. Oh, what a strange world it is. But yeah, I have to check just in case the cat's in peril. Sure, it's fine. It's probably asleep. Cool. And then we have these interesting chords on the trombones, these trombone shorts, which are very cool. So we're going to put them on our staccatos. It's going to be there. Make sure they're not too loud because, you know, they're not copied all this stuff that we don't need. Let me just do that again. Let me just make sure, where are they? There. That's the ones. So let's copy all of them. Go back up in here and see what's going on. Okay, yeah, we want to take all that out. Pop them in. They're there. Nice. Hello. Who have we got? I'm just checking back through. Cronus Ferris is with us. Thank you very much for joining us. So now we're going to want... that. So we have that. Nice. And then we have those ones. And we need swells here. Nice. Okay, cool. Get the cat into live chat. No, I can't. When she's in here, she'll ruin everything. She non-stop jumps up on the keyboards, and I forever I'm like, why is my instrument disappeared? It's because she's moved my expression slider. I've been having that all week where I think something's gone wrong, but it's just she's moved my expression slider and I'm not noticed. But what I'm going to do is play this from the beginning. I'm going to very quickly, just 2 seconds, go and check she's okay, and then come back. And she may run in here and cause all kinds of havoc, but hopefully not. So have a little listen to what we've got so far. I'll be back in 20-30 seconds, and then we can sort of finish this up. We got about another 10 minutes. Nice. So now I think we'll keep the sub bass going. And then we'll sort of have a thing where we make it go. The cat was okay, by the way, if anybody was... I'm sure you're not interested, but because a few mentioned the cat, she's all good. She just woke up, looked very confused as to why she hadn't been fed. But she's all good. Nice. That's going to add a lot. And there we go. What we're going to do as well is make sure we keep these on our low brass. So this is our sus. Make sure we have a short of these as well, because there's no reason for everything to drop out. It's all pretty big at this point, so make sure we just want the lowest notes there. Then we go up to the A there. Okay. Make sure we keep... Maybe sustains it. Nice. We don't want things to drop out too much. Cool, that sounds good. And we'll just have them going to there. Like this. And like that. Okay. Not too bad. I think we want to bring them down though, sounding a bit heavy, you know, but probably not going to get to finish this section today completely, but nice. And then what we want is the horns here. And someone said the string sounded a bit dry at the beginning. That's probably true. We'll finesse those envelopes because we put envelopes on, which I think are needed, but they may be a little bit dry, you know, and not getting enough kind of ambience. But really nice chords. And we'll do more of a swell on these. This section is going to need a bit more work, but we probably won't get around to today, but that's okay. And then maybe we'll carry this on. Maybe we'll do a full mock-up of this, because I mean, it's really great. It sounds really good on Nucleus. Okay, let's have a little listen. Let's do a very quick check on these as well. Let's just push. Nice. So we also have, which we probably won't get around to doing entirely today, but we also have like this whole section. We need to basically chord all these. I'll show you an example. Let's just do, I tell you what, no, because we're not going to have time today. Let's just put these in the octave below and the violas, and that'll give us a bit more thickness. Basically, the whole thing is chordal, so it's not just individual notes like this. If I just show you on the keyboard here, it's not just like an ostinato that goes like, it's this kind of thing, you know, and it's actually three, that kind of thing. So it's going to sound a lot more realistic if we build all that up, but that's going to take time and it's going to be very boring to watch me figure out each individual note. But we can do an octave below and just sort of get some thickness out of it. And then it's buried in the mix, so it's still going to sound pretty good. And you know what? I'm just going to use the range here. Just gives a bit more range. Cheating a bit, but that's okay for now. That'll just do for thickening that section up a bit. So what we'll do is just have these downbeats on some of these chords as well. So we need just make sure we got quantize on here. Let's just put this to something easier. There we go. Gives us a bit more to work with. And then we do the same thing. We just do. See, these all have to be on this note here. Make them a bit louder. Oh, not that loud. There we go. Yep, sounding pretty good. Nice. I'm actually going to take that sub bass out. I think it's making things too heavy. Nice, okay. They should actually be... I actually have them on the horns, which is there. I'm going to maybe do this. So... something like that. Yeah, that sounds better. Swells into each of these. Cool. Better than the sub bass. Okay, let's just fix those, and then we'll try and get to sort of the end of this piece. Nice. Okay. Cool. I think it's actually a bit faster at this point, which is something else we could look at as well, but we'll figure it another time. And now we just need to have that in the trumpets. Interesting little melody that takes us into the next bit. Then we got that awesome string arpeggio, which you won't get round to today, but maybe another time. Nice. Oh, 1 second, my fault. Click the note and then held it. Nope. Just sort of bring that in slowly. Like that. Nice. And then we're going to do just 2 minutes of like, not mastering, just kind of like a really quick thing to make it sound a little bit better. And I think we'll call it a day for then, and we'll sort of have a listen to what we finally got. So first thing to do is I'm just going to use touch of mastering compression just to sort of glue everything together. I use this one. We're looking for 1 to 2 dB, really subtle stuff on mastering. This is not proper mastering, but you know, just to sort of get everything that's about right. I'm going to do a really quick multiband and see if we can just smooth things out a bit so they sound a bit more glued together. And maybe a touch of saturation, and then we'll kind of be done. I use this. Keep it sort of subtle. We'll dial it back. And let's just take a little bit more of those envelopes now. Nice, okay. We use a little bit of soft clipping here as well. Yeah, we'll put that afterwards. In fact, use this one. Nice, quick and simple way of just getting some nice sort of saturation in there. Then we'll... Cool. And maybe just get those last chords in. And then we'll call it a day. We're not quite finished, but we got to a decent place, I think. We want those chords in the trombones as well. That's really where the energy is going to come from. So that's our sub bass. That's definitely not what we want. There we go. Trombones. Bring them down. Nice. Okay. Tubular bell. Yeah, we do need tubular bell. You have it. Maybe I haven't set it up in Nucleus. Maybe I haven't. I'll just put it on here. There's a lot we should add, but we're just not going to get round to everything today. But we can get rid of tubular bell in there, I think. I kind of forgot where the tubular bells go, so I'm just going to add them in. What time are we on? Yeah, we got a few more minutes. Okay. Tubular bell, very big part of this. Okay. So. Yeah, that's what we want. We want. But really quiet in the beginning, and then on that big F chord, we'll bring them in a bit more. Sound a bit weird like that, but these two can be quiet. Oh, and of course track delay, especially important with something like this. I know, I've really got to fix that up on my template. I don't know why it's for. Add them in as well. You know, we're going to get even more sort of reverb to these, right? Not go crazy, but we're going to want a bit more tail with them. Just to really sort of help them sit in the mix a bit more. Yeah, nice. Cool. Just add that one at the end, but nice. Okay, I think we're going to call it pretty much a day for today. We definitely have a lot that we could do, but it's an hour and 40 minutes work. I think we've done pretty well here. Let's just take a listen to the whole thing. It's kind of not really mastered, but you know, we just brought it up to volume, added a little bit of sort of push here. It could definitely do some work there, but there's not really any mixing going on here. then we go into that awesome part. Was it? Yeah, it's that. You know the one. I can't play it, but yeah, back into that E minor. That would be cool. Maybe we'll do that at some point. So it would be cool to finish all this off. So this was Spider-Man soundtrack using essentially one library. We did cheat a little bit, but with a free library, one of ours called Glade, which you can pick up yourself if you want to. And that was just for this little percussion piece here. So just to show you guys where we're using it, it's just this one thing that it couldn't quite get working in Nucleus, but we just so happen to have a free library recently released that does it. And the only other thing we added was a sub bass, signed sub bass, which is the easiest thing in the world. Any synth you have will do this, free, paid, stock, whatever, just to reinforce the low end. So I think it's acceptable because, you know, we're not using anything that nobody could pick up. Just doing this. Might not be able to hear this on speakers, or, you know, small speakers. Just adding a little bit. And we probably finessed that sub bass to give it a bit less attack, so it's not sort of poking through as much, but that's for another time. So yeah, but other than that, all the orchestral instruments are Nucleus. And if I take out the two things that we added for free, it's still going to sound pretty good. So that's all Nucleus, and then we just have a couple of extra bits there. And we've not really done any mixing. You know, this is all pretty much out the box. Bit of extra reverb, but nothing that you can pick up. And in fact, it comes with reverb installed if you want it. You know, there's some great reverb on board with Nucleus. I just disable it. Use my outboard ones, makes things a bit easier. But yeah, this is all pretty much just what you get out of one library, Nucleus, which I think is Black Friday sale at the moment. I think it's on, so go and check out. And yeah, if you don't have an all-in-one orchestral library, I think Nucleus has that really great, it's kind of modern Hollywood sound, particularly for stuff like Danny Elfman, where it's a little bit more intimate but still sounds huge. I think it works incredible for stuff like that. We will definitely do the rest, I think, at some point, even if I do it myself and just put it on our Discord or something. If you're not on our Discord, join up. It's free. The link is in the description, and you guys can get on and share stuff. You can, you know, pick up. By the way, we release the MIDI files for most of these streams. Sometimes it's a couple of weeks afterwards, but we do try and get around to releasing all these MIDI files. I will release this one as well. So if you have Nucleus and you have Glade, which you can pick up for free, you'll be able to pretty much recreate this one for one and then just do what you want. May improve it, make it better, change it, remix it, rearrange it, whatever you want to do. But yeah, I think this was a pretty good introduction to kind of what Nucleus is capable of. Let's say it's a great all-in-one orchestra. I love the sound of Nucleus. It's why I bought it. I bought it before I joined Audio Imperia, just because it has a sound and a feel and a vibe that a lot of orchestras don't get, you know, and it's beautifully sort of sized in terms of it's not too big, not too small. You could do so much with it. I never really feel that restricted. And then if I just want a specific thing, sometimes go into like a Jaeger or a Rare or something. But I think you can do 90% of what you want to do usually with Nucleus. Okay, we'll head back to just chatting and we shall wrap up. Cool. Yeah, so that was really good fun. I love this soundtrack, and it just reminds me of being in that cinema 23 years ago, whatever. Speakers rattling, this playing, you know, it was so cool. It's hard to describe, you know, this was long before superhero films were a kind of everyday occurrence. And this was a great theme. And like I said, it's just got such a good vibe to it. I think Nucleus catches it well. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining me as always, guys. I really, really do appreciate it. Great questions, great comments. I do like to read back on the chats as well. I love all the conversations you guys have. Sometimes I try and get involved. Sometimes I get a bit wrapped up in what I'm doing, but it's so cool that you guys are chatting. Yeah, thank you for all the track delay notifications and all the suggestions with tubular bells and boosting the strings. As always, really great. You guys are hearing all the issues, and if we had more time, we could really fix it up. But you know, I think for 2 hours work, that's pretty good job. Nucleus is on sale. Yes, Ollie knows he is very much involved and in charge of these things. But yes, it's on sale. So if you are looking for an all-in-one orchestra, I think you can't go wrong with Nucleus. And yeah, if you need to top it up with a few extra sounds, Glade is also available for free right now. Go to the website, pick it up. No need to pay. It's a really, really great library. There's so much beautiful stuff in there. I used it most recently for our Composer Showdown too as well, which is really good fun. Nucleus up to 75% off. I don't know these things. I don't keep up with this stuff, which I probably should do, but that is a steal. Nucleus is a phenomenal all-in-one, and it was great to use it today. And like I said, we should finish this off, I think, next stream or for another video, really show what the library can do for every section of this. Thank you very much, Luca. No notes is always my favorite thing to hear. Notes, the dreaded notes are always terrifying. We could definitely fix it up. But I think, yeah, for a few more hours work, we can get it all sounding good. Yes, you should. I should. Yeah, I really should. It is Black Friday. I didn't know there were sales, but 75% off. That's pretty impressive. I would be picking it up if I didn't already have it. And we should finish it off. Yes, we should definitely do this. So, as always, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I will go downstairs and feed a very sleepy kitten now, who's feeling a bit sorry for herself with the cone, and have some dinner myself. And as I said, I will put this on our Discord channel at some point. Maybe we'll finish this off. If we don't finish it off, I'll just put what we have so far. And if you guys do pick Nucleus up or you have it already, you will be able to basically slot this one for one and then just, you know, mix it up to the way you like it. And the other things that we have in here are Glade, which is free, and a sub bass, which any of you will have in any DAW. So yeah, this is all available for you guys with the single library. I could run you through all the sales tomorrow morning. Yes, I probably should be more au fait. 75%. I just didn't realize it was 75%. I knew there was a sale, but 75%. Very, very cool. Nucleus is a great all-in-one option, so definitely check it out if you haven't already. Just so you know, Chorus is on sale 30% to, and Jaeger. Yeah, we didn't use any other libraries today, but maybe next week we'll use everything but Nucleus or something. And literally all the catalogs on the sale. Yeah, everything is there to check out the website. All the information will be on there. And as we keep saying, Glade is free as well. If you need something to sort of complement all the other stuff that you buy, Glade is a very, very good option. There's some incredible sounds in there. And yeah, it really saved me today because I was struggling to figure out how to do this one particular percussion thing. And there it was. Okay, I'm going to wrap up because I'm just mumbling now, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. We will be here next week as always. Do check out the website, check out the Black Friday sale, and join our Discord if you haven't, and also subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not. It really helps us out. YouTube channel has been growing, which has been great, and we're doing these composer showdowns, which has been really good fun. Check out the ones we've done already, and there will be more to come in the not too distant future. We just finished wrapping up filming one, which is very cool. That will be shared with you soon. Time to recreate Jack Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean. You know, we could definitely do that at some stage too. I think we've done a bit of it, but maybe we could do the whole thing with just Nucleus as well. That would definitely be doable. Cool. Literally all the catalog on sale, just so you know, Adam. Yeah, I'm going to go check it out. I might maybe pick up some Audio Imperial libraries. Jack Sparrow theme from Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, we could do that. And we could even get the guitars in there with trailer guitars as well, which would be cool. Okay, cool. I shall leave you guys. Check out the website, subscribe to the YouTube channel, join up to the Discord, all that good stuff, and share what you're doing. And if you pick up Nucleus or any other libraries, share what you do with them. We've heard some incredible stuff. I've seen some people doing Avengers and other superhero themes with Nucleus and Jaeger, and it's sounding awesome. Joining Discord now. See you soon. Thank you very much, Luca. Yeah, join up. There's a really big and growing community on there. And like I said, I'm going to try and dip in more as well when I can. There's a lot of tracks that I want to listen to. Cool. Okay, I'm off to educate myself on the Audio Imperial sale, because 75% off Nucleus. Very impressive. And there's other steals there as well. So go check them out. Cool. See you guys next week. And until then, happy composing and whatever you do with the rest of your evening.